The Army base has this consistence of the service of the United States International Army Base and Moses Lake, Washington International Airport. And some Doritos, cool, some Pepsi, and also some spearmint rain. Spearmint rain is the best product you get because we have a mint farm in Othello, Washington, and Grant County. It goes in Grant County, goes into Othello, goes in Adams County, and also Grant County, and also the service have in Franklin County. Mint farm is a billion dollar business, and Sunny Farms has this COVID-19 policy regulation services. Donald Trump primary election, Biden, Mr. Obama, Mr. George Bush, and also Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and also an administration office and service in Barela, and Tiffany Barela, Tiffany Trump, and Ivanka Trump, and Donald Trump, of course, and Ivanka's mother, and Ivan Trump, EVAN Trump, TRMP. See the consequences of providing services for Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump, Tiffany Trump, Donald Trump. Because the red line, we got transaction reports and also the Kevin Hotel, Presidential Suites. The direct deposits, emails, and collision report, the Washington State collision report email that has to be submitted to the confirmation signature. And also the chunky salsa. And this chunky serves blend with the cheesy. Now with the mix with the red ranch crispy, which is blue ranch, cool ranch. Has this monologue of information download Microsoft Windows. And Apple went bankrupt because they couldn't provide any services for their employees. So all their employees work for Microsoft now, and Apple has been purchased through Microsoft. The physical address is Washington Army National Guard. Washington Army National Guard, Bravo Base, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 161st Infantry, Cab, 65036 Avenue, Northwest, Moses Lake, Washington, 9836. Commander-in-Chief and Sergeant, look at that. Ain't that interesting? A beautiful flag that arrays service to COVID-19 policy regulation. Also the Bravo base in Yakima has this incorporated service in the National Guard Army in Moses Lake. Emblems all over the administration office. Be a receipt somewhere. Got a receipt. Now, ownership and services for UBI number 602-720-9979. Steve Hobbs carries this exceptional COVID-19 policy regulation services at the Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 161st Cab, 650036 Avenue, Moses Lake, Washington. Now, the Army base sign has been taken down by bolts, washers, and bolts and washers, 2 washers to bolts, and all of that accounting services has been pulled out. Oh, a pair of sunglasses, look at that. Brand new pair of sunglasses. And also the National Guard license plate number is 2671X. That beautiful vehicle. Chevy ambulance rear-ended the people bus. Chevy ambulance or Chevy van, National Guard, Moses Lake, and Mr. McKinnon's office, 704 East Olive. Now we got a 2x4 study. No Home Depot and has this bid and services for the piping, the sprinkler heads, the John Deere Evergreen implement equipment, scorpion tail, and also Mr. Moses Lake International Airport sign that says Grant County International Airport. Moses Lake, Washington, 9837. And they have this Mr. McKinnon at 704 East Olive, where you have to walk all the way from Mr. McKinnon's office around to Kaiser's Funeral Home at 831 Pioneer Way, Moses Lake, Washington. Lawnmower, the blades, the fuel, which is purchased, and receipts and transactions went through and submitted, faxed to Andy Miller's office in Benton County Justice Department, Mr. McKinnon's office, Benton County Justice Department, because it says McKinnon Law Firm, Flynn, Memmerman, Palmer, and Mr. McKinnon, Mrs. McKinnon. Andy Miller's office, prosecutor's office. International Airport, this is airport access. This is Airport International Peckett Receiving Airport from International Airport and also Pasco Airport, which has been recorded on YouTube. We call the State Patrol Office, Moses Lake, Army, Washington, Army National Guard. They're carrying this COVID-19 policy regulations services to bring posting and stop them from coming in to the fence line and taking the Constitution of the United States of America from the administration office, as you can see. And these bolts were pulled off. These washers and bolts were pulled off. And it's only moments away to the fence line, which they got into they went on the top corner of the Army base sign, United States Constitution, Mr. Andy Miller, State Prosecutor's Office. I watched the Moses Lake Army base carry this COVID-19 policy regulations services. Yellow stationary recorded on URL. Now the corruption they have here, Mr. Yates is a serial killer who wants to peel his information, so he sends all his children in here. And all these children that want an education and service, and they get in the Army, they get in the Marines, they get in the Navy. Because Mr. Senator McCain, Mr. Donald Rumsfeld is a Secretary of State Defense, represented like Mr. Norman Manus. Now, James Norman Manus is the General of the Marine Corps. Colin Powell is the General of the Army, West Point, Washington, D.C. The Temple of Justice and LDS Church in Kennewick, Washington, like the Kennewick Man. And the Supreme Utah likes to get in business and services, and they like to get the business UBI number like Mr. Bill Gates. And then come in here, bring their Musk homeboys, Apple representatives, services that they work for Apple, and they went bankrupt, so Bill Gates took over. So we got this corruption from Seattle, Washington. We have to go to the bank in person and do deposits in Seattle, Washington. So you got all these transactions and reports and stealing tapes, stealing the information from downtown Seattle, walking to Chase Bank, Safeco Super Bowl in Seattle. I'm going to Starbucks in person with Bill Gates, and your ties and suits and Class A uniforms, the Microsoft activations and surfaces, PNY, Windows 10, Windows 11, Chromebook, DVR4, and all these purchase deductions. They try to take your window, break Mr. McKinnon Law Firm window out, and take all their deductions and services and add it on to their attachments. And then you gotta build a post, concrete, and rebar. How are they gonna provide? Go to the DHS office, recorded video on YouTube. Mr. Andy Miller, Washington State Prosecutor, 7112 West Okanagan Place, Kennewick, Washington. The Grant County Courthouse. Have to plaster and concrete and finish and put the rails up at the 56th C Street with Dano Garth, prosecutor of Grant County. And Mr. Brian and Mr. Wallace, Judge Wallace. Mr. Kenneth W. Chadwick, 56th C Street, Northwest P.O. Box. George Washington, House number 42. Brooks Athletic Club and their fax machines and direct deposits and EFT transactions, the post office in Kennewick, the post office in Mose Lake, and also the post office in Ephrata. You take all these transactions, services, and they're just corrupted. Now, of course, Mr. Yates and his homeboys, his thugs, and Mr. Norwick, he's a murderer with Mr. Obama and Mr. Sandoval, be having their Mr. Norwick murdering people over a sandal, over a horse, saddle, and over a horse and property and fence line and the George Washington House, Andy Miller's office, Grant County Justice Mr. McKinnon's office, breaking his window out, alleviating and recording the information. And all this soil were used to put on the concrete liner on the lid at Mueller's Funeral Home. Rhonda Kaiser, 831 Pioneer Way, Rhonda Kaiser's Funeral Home. Agent number, of course, 08. Mr. Kenneth W., his bar association, 33509 and 56 C Street, P.O. Box 876, Ephrata, Washington. No. Mr. Colin Powell, his dead body. Mrs. McKinnon has headstones and granite stones and services all over Mueller's Funeral Home. And then we have Jay Mueller, Amy Mueller, and also the service that have recorded information at Mueller's Funeral Home. Jay Mueller Music. Beautiful, beautiful picture of Jay Mueller inside Mueller's Funeral Home. Mr. Jim Dirty, Jay Mueller's brother, at a DHS office. They want a death certificate signed by Mr. Andy Miller. Now they want this information signed and recorded, and you bring Mr. McKinnon Law Firm, walking all the way to McKinnon Law Firm, all the way in his office. Now this corruption they got, you literally have to sharpen the blade, go to a McKenna law firm, get the fuel, and then suffer the consequences of resubmitting everything online, record everything. Call the State Patrol Office, call the 911 dispatch, show up Moses Lake Police Department, go to the jewelry store, submit your information online, because you got direct email services connected to your collision report, and also your CDL license department, $35 fee. And then replace that with your purchasing your birth certificate at Grant County and Benton County Courthouse, at the federal courthouse at 825 Jadwin. Patter married Mrs. Cantwell, Mrs. Avant Trump. Go to DHS office because you fed Donald Trump, Tiffany Trump, Avant Trump, and Avant Trump, Donald Trump's wife. And then Melania, of course. Melania. Now, Melania is married to Donald Trump. And this corruption they got, you have to dig the body, bury the body, get the casket, show at the funeral home at Green Lea Memorial in Pasco, laying down the screws, putting the casket, the urn, the hearse, the equipment, the John Deere equipment, the hydraulic hoses, overhaul it, take the JT 310 from CIMARON5INC, banquet, party, restaurant, bar, motel, because Florida says CIMARON5 on it, and Othello, Washington on it, population 8,000, Moses Lake, Kennewick, Tri-Cities, the Tri-City Herald, the Basin Herald, and also the Seattle Times, 60 Minutes, and also the WSJ, the Wall Street Journal. Now the corruption they have, administration office, Mr. Mark Miley Andrew, General of the Army, these successors, these increments of society, Department of License Department. Department of License Department has this Mrs. Vasquez, and also the Olympia supervisors, and also the Governor Jay Inslee, and also his Patty Murray, Mrs. Cantwell, 825 Jadwin, Richland Appeals Office, Supreme Judge Mr. Thomas Clarence, and his electronic appeal with our email, with his physical address, increments of society administrator Roberta and Lola Hernandez, John Hernandez, Diana Hernandez, Daniel Hernandez, Maria Hernandez, Lola Hernandez, first and last name, middle initial, date of birth, all these passports, increments of COVID-19 policy regulations, ownership search, UBI number 602-720-979. As recorded information is prudent to the case, of course. Most Lake Army, Washington National Guard Service Plan COVID-19 Policy Regulations Services. Now, you carry this COVID-19 Policy Regulations Services to society. Pauline Moses Lake Army Base and Service Plan COVID-19 Policy Regulations Services. Now, Ron Kaiser's 8 through in Pioneer Way. Carries this administration off an international Air Force base in Moses Lake, Washington. Now you can see the services that provide administration office for the distance of the Society of the Fence Line from the stop sign all the way to the stop sign intersection at Patton, where bus number 30 and number 10 comes a route and straight to the Grant County Courthouse. This raised service to the fence line carries serious consequences of restitution nearing a federal offense. Now that backhoe JD310 John Deere Evergreen implemented COVID-19 policy, and those 2 rocks representing the service of the COVID-19 policy and regulation services. Now, the Moses Lake Army Base, Washington. Starts for University of Washington, Mr. Andy Mill, State Prosecutor, Mr. Norman J. Mattis, and also Mrs. Mark Miley, and also the NATO Admiral on Facebook, and also the service applying to Washington Army National Guard, Washington, Adams County, Superman, H for hydrogen, I for Ion, N for Nebraska, G for Georgia, and A for Arkansas, Alabama, and T for Texas, O for Oregon, N for Nebraska, A for Adam, R for Roger, M for Mickey Mouse, Y for Yale University, N for Nebraska, A for Atom Bomb, T for Texas, I for Ion, O for Oregon, N for Nebraska, A for Andrews, Mark Miley Andrews, the General of the Army, of course, and L for low, G for Go Nitro, which is high caffeine at Starbucks. Now, Starbucks has beautiful nitro services, 26 ounces, of course, and your refillables for your Go cup, and your University of Utah, and your A for Atom Bomb, R for Roger, D for Dog. Pet bulls are menace to society. Terry dogs, they're put down all the time because they have lockjaw, and they have to complete their bite with a full bite and all the way release. We have the canines, Doberman Pinschers, and German Shepherds and canines in these service applying to COVID-19. To sniff out the individual confiscation of the service of the COVID-19 policy regulation services applying to the administration office. Now, the international airport, most likely. We got all recorded. We got Felix. We got Facebook. We got Instagram. We got Snapchat. We got Time Magazine, 60 Minutes, WSJ, the Wall Street Journal, and also the Society of George Washington. Allison is here with Mr. Colin Powell, successor of his sessions, and Mr. James Norman Mattis, General of the Marine Corps, and his sessions and services, his war combatant individuals and services of Iraq, Fallujah, and Persian Gulf, and the Mediterranean Sea, now the Black Sea. Now the service for Donald Rumsfeld and Mr. Colin Powell, their Barnes Services and Income Society Administration Office, bringing the administration office to its successors and the historic site at George Washington House, number 42. This is a historic van, pretty much like successor rate administration office in the COVID-19 policy regulation with the Washington State Patrol Office being notified of their services applying the administration of the Constitution Arrays Services and Income Society of the corruption Arrays Service being deleted and eradicated and hijacked September 11, 2001. Now remember, the service center carrying this COVID-19 policy regulations services having detailed information, service applying the COVID-19 policy regulations and the Army base and its successors. And you bring your service to Vancouver Society, of course, VIN number is 1GAZGNFG4L1266729 with 1GAZGNFG4L1266729. Now, the successors bring these beautiful Nikes, these boots from McKenna Law Firm, these elite force boots and combat Nikes and service supplying the COVID-19. License plate is G432671Z. Now, the service supplying the COVID-19 policy regulation services for direct EFT transactions. Of course, the banks and their successors and statements and Social Security Office 831 Pioneer 831 Klamath, Cincinnati on Grand Ridge, a direct EFT transaction and services administration office at a post office in Canada, Afreda, and don't forget what's Lake Washington, UPS, FedEx, and also priority mail. And also confirmation and signature email address and fax and PDFs and also drives and Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint on the Microsoft service supplying the COVID-19 policy regulation services. Now, the service that apply the COVID-19 policy regulation services, Mr. McKenna Law Firm Administration Office carrying the COVID-19. Now remember,